Hey, it's Jodi Amen here, and I'm here with my friend Tanya Joy Peterson. Hi, Tanya.
Hi, Jodi.
We decided to jump on Zoom today and just talk a little bit about anxiety because, I used to write for healthyplace.com, this awesome mental health website, and my blog was called Anxiety Schmanxiety, and Tanya took it over when I left Healthy
Yes.
Place, and it's awesome. I think you help a lot of people, Tanya, and I'm so glad that our paths crossed in this way.
I
And
know, this is cool.
Tanya's a wonderful writer. She writes novels, but they are, in a way, provide a lot of hope for people and a lot of education for people around, mental health and struggling with things emotionally and getting over them and resilience of the human spirit. And by the way, they're incredibly entertaining and like you can't put them down. I just love Tanya. I love your books and welcome. I'm so glad you agreed to do this.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, coming from you, that is the highest compliment ever
Uh,
because people still follow your posts on anxiety, schmanxiety, even though you have been gone for a while, and your own book that is helping people and just really relatable. And this is just such an honor. I think this is so cool. So thanks, Jodi.
You're welcome. And it's interesting because, we both experience anxiety ourselves. I think that's
Right.
what landed us on this blog. But, we both had it ourselves. We're both counselors. We're both writers.
Right.
And I really wanted to know a little bit for everybody, like, tell me a little bit about your anxiety and how bad it was. And then I'm going to ask you after that, how you turned a corner, how you felt better. Because you just told me before we started recording, you told me that you're feeling really good in your life now. And
Right.
we want to know. We want to know how people get better so we could get ourselves better.
Of course, yeah, because everybody can get better. In fact, my anxiety was pretty significant. I've kind of had it throughout my life, and then it intensified after a brain injury. And for me, even before the injury, it was associated with this sense of perfectionism, and I had to do everything right. And it was this black and white thinking. If it wasn't perfect, it was awful, and therefore I was awful. And it spiraled into horrible anxiety and some social anxiety that everybody was judging me and I couldn't live up. And then after the injury, it just exploded and added generalized anxiety to it. And I tried so many different things. It took many years. I mean, I'm 45 now, but I've been pretty much anxiety free for a couple of years now. Well, I guess in life we don't ever get completely free of anxiety. That's just part of life. But free of debilitating anxiety, free of unhealthy anxiety.
Or suffering. I mean, do you feel like,
Suffering from
we all
anxiety.
have pain in our life and
Right.
struggles and bad days and
Yep. And
difficult
worries
situations.
and fears. Mhm.
Yes. But, there's this intense suffering that you go through when you have
Right.
anxiety, panic, and it kind of stops you from doing things in your life. Did you feel like that? Did you feel like it kind of prevented you from doing some of the things you really wanted to do, held you back?
Oh, definitely. As far as just having I don't know, the confidence to reach out and to it stopped me basically, not necessarily from doing things, but from being. It stopped me from being relaxed. It stopped me from being confident. It did stop me from wanting to just join groups and join conversations and be able to, when somebody invited me, hey, welcome to this new community. Do you want to come over and meet some people? And I would find every excuse not to. Oh no, I have to unpack. Oh no, I'm busy. And that was definitely the anxiety speaking.
Yeah.
So now that has been lifted, it's just a sense of freedom that, hey, if I want to, I feel like I can.
Awesome. Well, tell me what helped you turn the corner?
Um,
What was
I
the
think a
biggest
lot of
thing?
different things. Now, for me, people sometimes medication works really well for people. Anti-anxiety medication actually made my anxiety worse.
Hmm.
But that's a very individual thing. Some people it helps, some people it doesn't. Some people it makes worse, and that was me. I think it was more just stepping back and examining, hey, what kind of life do I want to live?
Hmm.
Because being trapped with anxiety is no way to live life. And I did want to live life. So I really defined what I wanted and then little steps that I could take to get there. And also being really aware of those anxious thoughts and questioning them. That's kind of where the kind of some solution focused therapy, some cognitive behavioral therapy, some positive psychology, all wrapped into what are my goals? How am I going to get there? And what do I think along the way?
So that's interesting because you said, so these anxious thoughts that you had, you started to question them. And that's a big thing that I write about, in the book. And
right.
By the way, everybody, Tanya gave me a blurb in the back of my book. This is from Tanya. So she was one of the first people to read it. And so I'm so glad that you said that because it brought up. And, because anxiety talks to us and manipulates us and lies to us about all these things, but they sound so truthful and they sound so intense and scary that, we believe it because we're so, we're kind of trapped by it. And so that's what you did is like, you started to look at these thoughts and you started to question them and not just take them at face value, sort of, not just say, oh no, not just black and white thinking. And, I talk about that too. And
I do. And in fact, I was cheering your book and your readers and me as a reader on as I was reading that book. It's amazing because I kept thinking, yes, this does work. This is exactly, the path that I took and what I went, what I went through and all of these things that Jodi is talking about work because I lived them and I came out on the other end. So it was like, way to go.
Yes. Yeah. And I think you probably see this with a lot of your readers, that a lot of people think that they can't get over it.
Yeah.
And I think it's because people try so many different things. They're trying to build their skills and but there's so much self-judgment on them.
Yes.
And they don't break it. So there's two things, they build up their skills and they're trying, like on a hamster wheel, like running. And I felt like this in my own life when I was really anxious too. I was just running, trying so hard. And I didn't break down the power of anxiety. And I didn't, begin to trust myself at all. Like those pieces are really missing for me. And I want to bring up your books too, because they're really awesome. I mean, I read the most recent one I read was Life in a Nutshell. And I just got your new book. Tanya has a new book that just came out this week too. You want to hold that up?
Yeah.
Because I have it on Kindle, so I don't have it in front of me. 24 Shadows.
24 Shadows.
Yeah. What's that one? Well, what's that one about? And then we'll talk about the Life in a Nutshell.
Okay, sure. This one is about, all my novels deal with mental health issues, mental illness, just showing what it's like for real people, because there tends to be a disconnect. People think of, okay, mental health, mental illness, and then people. And it's just this weird concept. So these just show people like Jodi, like me, like all of us, living with the mental health challenge and working on it and having frustrations and being able to overcome it. In 24 Shadows, this guy, Isaac Bittman, ordinary family man, he's got a wife, he's got a 5-year-old son, has just had some confusing and bizarre stuff in his life. And he gets slapped with the diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder. It used to be called multiple personality disorder. And so it's just about his journey with that, the initial diagnosis and going through that process, and then his wife and its impact on her.
It's so interesting. I think, diagnosing is such a big, huge thing, and it's so impactful on people's lives, I think, because, and I wrote a book about anxiety. I never used the word disorder in the entire book. I never use the word diagnosis in the entire book. Like, it's just not how I think about these kind of problems and sometimes when people get diagnosed, they feel good because they have something now to work against.
Right.
And a lot of times the diagnosis really pushes someone down because it labels them away. So I can't wait to read this book and see what his journey, what it's like for a real person.
Right.
And I have this, and I just think that you write people so well. I read a lot of writers, and I read a lot of novels. I love novels.
I like to, yeah.
I love them. And so I read a lot of novels, and I feel like people don't get people. A lot of writers don't get people.
I know. I've noticed that too.
And I'm like, people don't do that. Or if I watch a movie, like I've been doing therapy for like over 20 years. Like I know people.
Right.
And people are definitely inconsistent, but there's definitely characters out there in movies and books, and it's like people don't get them.
Right. It's like
you get people, and so and I think that helps. People learn through stories.
Right.
I tried to write a novel once because I was like, I want to teach this stuff. I want to help people feel better about themselves. But people like to be entertained. And
It's not a lecture. Yeah.
Yeah, they could learn through stories. Of course, I ended up writing nonfiction, but I do tell a lot of stories in it. And so I really appreciate what you're doing, because I think you're a really important healer, and you're using this fictional medium, which I think in a lot of ways can touch a lot more people. So I love your work, and I'm so glad I got turned on to it.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, high compliment. And I think there's a place for all sorts of writing, because there's all sorts of readers, and most readers like lots of things. So you have, You Won, Anxiety Zero, and you have these novels, and it's just all together. It works. And they're empowering for people. It's like, hey, somebody gets me.
It's cool because there's a lot of tools. Like when you're anxious or anything, there's just a lot of different tools to get over it, right? And there's a lot. You could do a lot of different things, and so one could be reading. I mean, when I was really anxious, I read a lot of fiction, not necessarily fiction about anxiety, but fiction just to take my mind off.
Right.
And to have a little break from like my working so hard on healing. And so I used novels to do that. And so that was a tool in that way. But then there was also books that I read to like learn how to help myself. And so that was another tool. But then I also took walks. Then I also helped, I had friends. And then I also ate really healthy. And I mean, I had this whole tool bag.
Exactly. Yeah. I like to refer to it that way too, a toolbox or a tool bag. There's so many different things that you can, it all kind of works together. There's not just one quick fix.
Yeah, it is. I agree. Well, this has been so great. I'm so glad that I do read, your comments to people on Schmanxiety blog, because I think they really, you really spend a lot of time and make people feel better and listen to them. And so I think you're a fantastic counselor also. But I'm so glad that you're writing, because I think it's going to help a lot of people.
Writing, as you know, writing reaches so many people.
I know. I've been blogging for like 6 to 8 years or something.
I know.
Because I really wasn't doing it in the beginning like that seriously. And so I don't even know when to count that I started. But
this thing that just develops.
Yeah. But, since my book has come out like 10 days ago, like I've hit so many more 1,000 people than I hit at 8 years ago.
That's so cool. So, people are like, yay, Jodi wrote a book and she's so wise, and I want to read this, and I'm going to go back and follow her stuff. So
that's cool. Yeah, no, but I hope, I just hope, I hope that, that people hear about us and get that hope that we're offering to them.
Right.
We've both experienced it. And, I was not my worst enemy.
Oh gosh, me too. Always. I was told from grade school, oh my gosh, you're your own worst enemy. You're so hard on yourself. We don't have to discipline you because you do it yourself. And it's a lifetime of that. And
I know but it's like ingrained in our culture, like that perfection. Yeah. I talk about that in my book too. So anyway, Tanya, I know we have to go, but I'm so glad to be talking to you. We're like tenacious gals, trying to make this, nobody knows. We had a lot of technical problems before we started, but we just got going and laugh. Because that's what life's about. Like, you gotta laugh. You gotta laugh or you'll just cry. I think that's
exactly. Oh, I know.
All right. Well, Tanya, so you can find Tanya at TanyaJPeterson.com. TanyaJPeterson.com. You can find me, Jodi Eamon, at JodiEamon.com. You could get to all of our social media from there. Tanya Peterson on Amazon. It's called 24 Shadows. 24 Shadows.
Right.
Or the book that I just love this, and I'm going to love 24 Shadows, I'm sure, as soon as I read it because it's brand new. But Life in a Nutshell's awesome book. Really, really awesome book. My Life in a Nutshell. And anyway, so.
That was this one.
That's this one, yeah.
This one happens to be about anxiety. So.
It is about anxiety. So thank you everyone for watching, and we love you.
Yeah.
And we're here if you need anything. Thanks.
Great.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
All right.